with Frida today to make sure that we can give you the best tactics and the best things that you can implement in your own marketing strategy. Hi, Roal. Okay, crystal clear or good. Great. Fahad, thank you as well.
Perfect.
Okay, all right. Hey, Bo. All right, perfect.
Yeah, so we're getting inspired exactly by what we've seen this year, what we've seen work well from different brands, specifically in the health and wellness space. So I'm very excited to get into it and learn lots from you, Mehdi, as well. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And at the same time, I need to disclose this as well. So, of course, we've shared our presentations from one another. We've seen what you're going to talk about. We didn't went into too much detail, so we can still get surprised by one another. Of course, it's going to be a great chat.
Definitely. Okay, so I think now, yeah, we're a few minutes in, so I think we can get started.
I guess so. We're good.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, and the first thing is now that you're here, we just wanted actually to let you know that it doesn't matter if you're an established brand or if you just launched. It doesn't matter if you're a complete beginner in marketing. It doesn't matter if you have a small budget or tens of thousands of dollars to spend in your next marketing strategy. There is one thing that you need to take full advantage of. What is going to happen today? What we're going to share with you, and this thing is you should be able to try new tactics. You should be able to implement them. You should be eager as well, and you should want to try new things for your own marketing strategy as well. That's the only and single requirements, I would say, Frida, right?
Yeah, definitely to have an open mind and think of it like it is fun as well. Like marketing, it should be fun.
Yep. And as I'm saying this as well, don't hesitate because it's the only requirement. Don't hesitate if there's any question, if you have a suggestion, if you have an idea, if there's anything to share. We're monitoring all the comments at the same time, so please don't hesitate to share anything that crosses your mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. As we're talking, as we're going through things, if anyone has questions, that would be amazing.
And oh, I love this. Oh yeah. So why it was interesting because actually a few days ago Frida shared a poll on your LinkedIn profile, right? Asking for what should be the top topic we should discuss today. This one came first, thanks to your audience, I'd say. And this is why it's super interesting because marketing is hard, and it's hard specifically to take decisions where in a world of uncertainty, when you launch a new campaign, when you launch a new campaign strategy, it's going to be hard to guess what the results are going to be. It's going to be hard to guess if it's going to be working or not. Your goal as a marketer, the main goal is to take the best decisions, take the right decisions, and make sure that you can inform your own strategy as well without relying on luck. So that's why looking at the top 2024 health and wellness marketing tactics, the one from this year, the one Frida and I has been seeing so far, we thought that sharing them would be, how can I say this, a great advantage at the same time, because it's going to be, you're going to be able to catch new ideas and new tactics that you'll be able to implement in your own marketing strategy. And those ones have been proven to be, actually quite effective. It will allow you to iterate more quickly on your own marketing strategy and hopefully drive your company's growth as well.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly said. So a little intro to me for anyone who doesn't
Who are
know.
you?
Yeah. Who am I? So my name is Frida Waywell, of course, and I'm the founder of Locus, which is an influencer marketing agency. So the idea of Locus came around 2 to 3 years ago when I was very overwhelmed with all of the latest health products. So my mission was to make things a little bit easier for people. And I thought, okay, there's no better way than to meet people where they're at. And that is social media. Everyone seems to be on social media these days, buying their supplements, buying their latest health products, buying their greens powders. So my mission is basically to simplify the information that is out there, and I do that through influencer marketing. So throughout this presentation, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on what brands are doing when it comes to influencers and collaborations and what has worked for them that I've seen this year. So I'm really excited to dive a bit deeper into that. So yeah, that's just a little intro to me. Oh yeah, and then we have a few influencer marketing stats that I thought would be interesting to put in here, just to kind of remind you that influencer marketing definitely works, and it's a really powerful tool to create trust with consumers. As it says here, 73% of consumers say that they trust health and wellness influencers' opinions as much as recommendations from their friends and family. So it's actually amazing how much trust influencers and creators online have actually built with the people who watch their content nowadays. So that's just a few stats. 45% of consumers follow health and wellness influencers specifically to receive advice. And then around 50% of consumers expressed interest in purchasing health and wellness products from influencers, especially when they were sharing personal stories and personal experiences with the product. So that's just a few stats that I thought would be fun to mention, just about influencer marketing, because yeah, I think it's crazy. I think it's such an incredible kind of industry to be in right now, and a way to grow by using influencers.
And for me, it's even more surprising to see, not surprising, but it's always interesting to see how this industry has matured over the year as well. Like, influencer marketing, it's been here since 10 years ago, but it always seems kind of new at the same time and always evolving. So it's always just a cool industry to be in.
Yeah, and I think like 10 years ago as well, it was mainly in the fashion space that I remember seeing it, like lots of fashion, like hauls and unboxing things. And now as health and wellness has gotten so popular, it's really made its way into like the health and wellness side of things, because a lot of people are buying their supplements online and things like that. So yeah, I don't know what the next slide is. Is it going to be me? Is it going to be you? I don't remember. There we go.
It's going to be me. All right. Okay, great. So that's me. I don't have my picture, but you have me just right here. I'm the founder and the owner of a platform called Panoramata, Panoramata.co. Pretty simple mission, actually. We help you track your competitors in one single platform, instead of you having to go over all your competitors one by one, checking their emails, their ads, their homepage, their landing pages, their SEO, their SMS, everything that they're doing. And it might take 30, 40, 1 hour per competitor every week, every month. Well, we do all the heavy lifting for you, and we help you gather all the information about what they're doing exactly on a single place. And that's basically what we do here.
It's very cool. It's very cool. I'm a big fan. You save a lot of time for a lot of brands, and it's I definitely recommend everyone subscribing to your newsletter. Well, that's at the end. Okay, so let's get into the first kind of brand that I want to talk about, and let's get into the tactics. So this is where we're really starting now. So guys on Instagram, or guys and gals on Instagram, you might have heard of Perfect Head. They actually have quite a big audience on Instagram and on LinkedIn. But they are the UK's leading matcha brand right now, and they have done 3 things which have really stood out this year that I'm going to talk briefly on. And one of those things is physical collaborations, and then we have influencer collaborations and their organic content. So I'm going to briefly touch on these 3 techniques that they have done in the past year, and how it has impacted their growth for anyone like in this space, of course. So the first thing is influencer collaborations. Now, something that Perfect Head have done, so matcha brand, they have collaborated with 2 very, very large influencers. Instead of going micro, they've actually gone macro. So an example of this is Hardest Geezer, who has 1.2 million followers on Instagram. And he is someone who ran the length of Africa last year. Pretty insane, actually. And Perfect Head, this matcha brand, sponsored his entire run. So this gave them obviously a lot of exposure, because he was drinking the matcha as he was running, and obviously he was running the length of Africa, so that got a lot of reach. So the brand were able to get a lot of brand awareness just through this collaboration. So this is an example of working with a macro influencer who has a lot of followers, who's maybe doing something a bit crazy. And I'm pretty I'm pretty certain that he had a lot less than 1 million followers when they started like collaborating together. So I think for brands looking for collaborations, trying to look for those influencers who are maybe they're doing something cool, they're working on something cool, but maybe they're not that big yet, because you never know where they're going to go. Influencers are growing like crazy right now. So if you can get in with an influencer and a person who's really got a mission and working on something in the early days, then your brand is going to be able to leverage that so much as they grow, as their audience grows, as their trust builds, and all of those things. And then another example of an influencer collaboration with a macro influencer, or I don't know if you'd call him an influencer, but Stephen Bartlett, which I'm sure most of you know, podcast host, investor, founder, Dragon on UK's Dragon's Den. So he sponsors the drinks as well. He drinks the drinks on his podcast. They work together. He's an investor in the brand. So again, it's like working with a big face. So they're going macro instead of micro, which I think is really interesting for some brands to explore. Then the other two things that I wanted to emphasize that this brand are doing really well are physical collaborations. So collaborating with local stores, with bakeries, with cafes, anything in your area you can collaborate with. And I think a lot of brands these days maybe think that this is playing small, but you have to start somewhere. And I think always meeting people where they're at, and this is gonna, I don't know, it's gonna get more people to know about you, even if it's just in your area. And then you can obviously create a lot of content around that, and then you have the ability to reach millions on social, of course. So not skipping physical collaborations, and then organic content. What Perfect Head do absolutely amazingly is create entertaining founder and employee-led content. So they do lots of weekly roundups. They do lots of funny videos on their Instagram. And they are honestly one of the best brands that I have seen doing, like founder-led content that's entertaining, tells a story, and lets us in on the behind the scenes. So I think this is also a great strategy for some brands to explore when it comes to organic content as well.
That's cool. And I guess at some point, like content is content, right? Like when you do a physical collaboration or you do something with your team, then it's an opportunity to create even more content around what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like even if you think a physical collaboration is something, it's only physical, it's only small, you can still make a lot of content around that. And then social media just has the ability to reach thousands and millions of people. And I think sometimes we become a bit immune to numbers, especially now on social media. We think 1,000 people is not a lot of people, when 1,000 people is quite a lot of people, actually.
True.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. So those are two other things. And then, the key takeaways from Perfect Head is macro versus micro influencers. So they actually don't have an affiliate program, but instead they focus on less but larger influencers. So that's about like understanding what kind of strategy you want to go ahead with, what strategy you want to try. I think Mehdi, you will talk about some brands, and I think they have affiliate programs as well, like lots of like AG1, just
For instance.
a little spoiler. They have a large affiliate program. And then we have physical collaborations and organic content. So those were just some takeaways from Perfect Head. Mehdi, do you have any thoughts on that brand or anything maybe you want to add, or anything you think was interesting?
Yeah, the main thing was the how can I say this? The fact that they're able to leverage, any news, any company news, any kind of content that they would do on organic or in physical, or any kind of partnership or collaboration that they might do in the real world or online, and turn this as an opportunity to create even more content with people, to include them in several ways on social media, and to really scale the opportunity, actually, as you've said, the opportunity given by social media to them, and being able to leverage this into being able to reach even more people. Okay, it's great to actually go to a local cafe and make sure that you can collaborate with them because they're cool, and then in this specific neighborhood you're going to be much more known. And it's great if you can actually make this online, turn this online, and make sure that you can reach 1,000, tens of thousands more people thanks to this. It's amazing, and it's well done, and it's hard to actually just just to collaborate with businesses in real life is actually quite hard for a lot of brands, and for good reasons, because it's hard.
Mhm.
Once you do manage to, collaborate with someone, you might leverage this as much as you can, because
Mhm.
yeah, it can have a great impact.
Yeah, exactly. I think they do a really great job of turning the physical things into online, very entertaining content. And with this brand, they are very entertaining and very funny. And I know that not all health and wellness brands want to come across that way. Some are very serious, they're very much into biohacking and the science. So it's
Yeah.
all about how you want to communicate the brand, how you want to communicate the information. This brand just choose to do it in a very entertaining, light-hearted way, which I really, really enjoy. Okay. Oh yeah, the bonus here. So I forgot about this. So Perfect Head also collaborate with a lot of other brands to increase their following and increase their brand awareness. So honestly, they do so many giveaways. So if you have a brand right now, or if you're growing your following somehow, then try to think creatively how you can collaborate with other brands or other influencers and do a joint giveaway. This is something we do a lot with our brands as well, because they're just it's just a very quick way to boost brand awareness and boost following. It might not necessarily boost lots of sales, but over time, definitely, because you're going to get more followers, they're going to be consuming more of your content, and you're going to be sharing your message more. So this is just a bonus of something they do, like a lot. Like one of the brands that I've seen do probably the most consistently giveaways like that. Okay, there we go.
That's on me. All right.
So
All right.
ready.
So, yeah, that was the main. I'm gonna start this way. That's for me is both not basic, but like it's a foundation of any big digital marketing strategy, and at the same time, it's quite difficult. It's quite hard to nail this one correctly and execute it correctly as well. It's being able to target specific audiences, and when I'm saying this is, you might sell the best supplement in the world. You're not just selling the best supplement in the world, you're selling it to someone, and you need to nail the who this someone is. You need not to be generic, but you need to be super specific, because being specific sells, and it sells because you'll be able to have a much more accurate targeting, a much more accurate copywriting, and by doing this you'll be able to trigger much more interest from your audience, and have all better metrics. When you're doing advertising, you'll have a better CTR, you'll have a better ROAS, you'll have just more growth and more sales
Mhm. Mhm.
happening with your ads. If you check on the next slide, I have a few examples of
Oh, yes.
for a brand called AG1. Thank you. We all know this one, Health and Wellness Brands. All right, they're selling greens. They're the most known brand selling greens right now, if I'm not mistaken. They might have invented this category all the way. They have one product, basically, but they do sell to hundreds of different audiences, and they're not just trying to sell greens. They're trying to sell an energy drink. They're trying to sell something that tastes good. They're trying to sell to runners, and each one of their advertising campaigns is really super specific to one of the targeted audiences that they've identified. Well, before that they've identified, then they've tried, and they've run the campaign for a few weeks, and if it works correctly, then they start to scale this campaign with much more creative and much more budget as well. But one of
Mhm.
the big thing, especially because since maybe 2 or 3 years ago, advertising, especially on Meta, is much more difficult than before. It all comes down right now to your creative, but now everyone's focused a lot on the creative, and then using the creative to really focus and speak to a specific audience is now more and more the key. And AG1 is doing this super correctly, because right now you're looking at the landing pages that they're using. The first one is for the energy drink, then the taste and the interest. Again, it's the same product, but it's three super different approaches
Mhm.
to sell it. And at the same time, there, and that's on the next slide as well. I guess I took the energy drinks as an example. They're using ads that are specific to each landing page and to each audience as well. Those are the ads for energy drinks, and they have nothing in common versus the ads that they're using for runners, for
Mm.
immunity, for test, or for any of the main proposition value that they do offer. So being able, even if you have one specific product, it's pretty much the same thing if you have several, but once that you're trying to advertise for a specific offer that you do have, try to think about which audiences you want to target. Try to be super specific in your messaging, in your creative, in your copy, in your landing pages. And you're going to see that right away, they will not all work the same. You'll have a winner, you'll have a few losers, but at least you're going to be able to be to actually focus on your winners.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the goal when you're spending some money on ads, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I love that they all have separate landing pages actually, because I think this is overlooked. I think we focus on the ads and the creatives to be for separate people, but then leading them to the same landing page, when I think the landing page actually plays a lot in the conversion as well.
Yep, exactly. For me, it's always like it could work before, but right now, if you're trying to create super specific ads and you've spent a lot of time and money on creating these ads, they're super specific and they're really talking to a specific audience, and then you're redirecting them towards your classic product page, you're losing something because you already know that they're interested into your product because of the taste, because of the energy side, because they're runners. I mean, you have an information on them that they're interested by something specific that they've seen on this specific ad, and you're not using this in your product page. So you're losing some information and you're losing some conversion points on your
Mm-hmm.
landing page for sure.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So would you say, okay, I have a question. If it was like a brand that maybe didn't want to spend so much on ads, would you say that they focus on like three different kind of target audiences, or would you say that they just go all in on one, or is there like a specific number that you recommend or anything?
No, for me, I don't have a specific number because at the end of the day, it depends on your budget. But there are some super obvious. Usually, when you're a brand, you have some obvious demographic splits to make, whether it's on the gender, whether it's on the age, whether it's on a specific proposition value, one versus the other. You always have like two or three main options, and you're like, okay, I can easily split men versus women or split 35 plus versus 35 minus 35 people, or people who are more interested in my product because it tastes good or because of the functional benefits. And then for each of those, you can have two or three options. Go ahead, try to at least two options, and actually pretty much right where you're going to see one is working better than the other. It's
Mhm.
extremely rare that you have two options that are working the same. You
Mhm.
always have one that have better scores than the others. It doesn't mean that it's you have to shift like all your branding and all your strategy towards this one. It might be
Yeah.
just right now on Facebook, given your creatives, be given the season, this is the way to go. But at least you're gonna have better scores for this specific campaign.
Cool. Yeah. So going niche, it seems like it's just always the answer.
Yeah,
With-
no, for sure. And right now, I've took the example of AG1, but it's the case for pretty much all the brands that I've seen crushing it on Meta these last few months as well.
Mhm. Okay, amazing. Super interesting. Okay, next we have London Nootropics, which is an adaptogenic coffee brand. And in the past year, they have grown so much on social media with their brand awareness, with their influencer collaborations. So I wanted to talk about three things that they have been focusing on, and we can get some inspiration from that. So the first one, again, is physical events, which we're going to talk about. Same with Perfect Head, kind of physical things that they're doing in the real world, podcast collaborations, and then influencer affiliates. That's the strategy that they're taking instead of going with macro. So, physical events. So London Nootropics, they sell adaptogenic coffee, and they are consistently showing up at health and wellness events to grow their brand awareness. So with any health and wellness event, I am seeing London Nootropics there. I'm already a big fan of the brand, but if I'm attending these health and wellness events or going to different cafes and I'm consistently seeing this brand's name, I'm going to start to trust them. I'm going to try them. I'm going to start to like them. So they are really kind of making a name for themselves in the health and wellness space by being there physically. And I love that they are doing this. They were at the Biohacker event in Helsinki. They were at Health Optimization Summit in London. They were at this a food fair here in Stockholm. They are really getting like in front of the people that they want to get in front of physically. And I like that because then it gives people a chance to actually try the product, to meet the people behind the brand. They can also create a lot of content from actually being at these physical events, like we said, like creating, really making the most of actually being there. But then also, yeah, just being there, being right in front of their target audience. I think a lot of brands are maybe missing out on this. It's just like kind of when COVID happened and everything went remote, I think brands maybe have the same mentality. It's like, yeah, let's keep everything remote. Let's have our community online. Let's do everything online. When, yes, you can really, really thrive in that way. But if we start to bring things into the real world, and I've seen a lot of health and wellness brands collaborate with like running events and like cafes and hosting Pilates, yoga events like that. I think that's where a lot of brands can really succeed if you are also creating content from that, but you're really getting you're understanding your community more. You're literally spending time with them. You can ask them about the product. You can ask them what they're going through. You can get so many ideas for different ads and things like that. So I think physical events is a great strategy that I've seen a lot of brands do this year in 2024. And I think it's only going to grow in 2025 because people want community. We're realizing that, yeah, like we want more community, even though it's amazing we can work online. And we want to be surrounded by people who are in our tribe. They're passionate about the same things. And the health space is very much like, I don't know, people come together, you know, if you meet if you're taking AG1 and you meet someone who's taking AG1, you automatically know you have something in common. You have some kind of similar interest, you know you're going to get along in some way. And that's kind of the same thing when you're doing things physically. Okay. And podcast and brand collaborations, which I like to call creative collaborations. So instead of just focusing on influencer marketing, London Nootropics also do giveaways. They do brand collaborations with different brands, so that can be collaborating either on a giveaway or doing like sample giveaways where they basically you get like a small sample of your product in 50 of the next orders with the other brand, and vice versa. You can also do newsletter collaborations and then feature in podcasts as well. So it's all about just hitting your target audience from all of these different creative angles that don't have to cost a lot. They don't have to cost even much time. It's just getting them like at these different angles, I guess. And then the last thing is influencer affiliates. So we actually scaled their affiliate program. So now they work with more practitioners who recommend their products to their clients, and they work regularly with health influencers as well. So they have an affiliate program where they have influencers who have and share codes, which means that they are like consistently sharing content on their Instagram stories, almost daily, because they have codes that they want to share. So this is also another approach that health and wellness brands can take. You can either go with, like bigger macro influencers and you're working on a big campaign, or you can go with influencer affiliates where you get consistent story shares every single day and people have codes to share with their followers and they're really vouching for your brand. So that is a little bit about London Nootropics. Was there anything else? No.
Yeah, not just for the physical events, it just reminded me of something. Like the way you are actually displaying these events is quite interesting, because from what I get from this as well, like the events that they're present, I guess that maybe they're also targeting those kind of events. They're events where I guess influencers are coming as well. So influencers are sharing what's happening in the event. So by going there, they're also going to share the fact that London Nootropics is there. So it just scales up right away the fact that you're present in one event not only to touch, to reach the people at this event, but also, reaching all the people, following the people who are in this event as well.
Very, very true. Like so much can come from actually being at physical events. You can, yeah, meet influencers. Influencers can share you. You can meet other brands that you want to collaborate with. So much can come from that. And then, yeah, a lot of brands, you can even host like influencer exclusive events where you literally only invite influencers to an event, and then you basically get a bunch of content from them. So it's a very quick way to grow brand awareness, to grow a following, and to build that community as well.
Right, great.
Cool.
Interesting.
Okay, next one is Medi.
Yay! I love this one. Be fun,
Mhm.
play games. This one comes also specifically for the health and wellness industry, but sometimes you have people that are just, how can I say this? You don't have that much nowadays. People telling you that emails is dead, or email marketing is dead, or it doesn't work anymore, or like people have, now understand the power of the email, because you're on your list, you own your audience, you can directly build a community and speak with people. But it's quite hard to be original and innovative when it comes to email marketing. We all tend to do the same stuff, why it doesn't have to be. I'm going to share a few examples just after, but the goal of email your email marketing strategy at some point, of course, you might want to sell, and that's your main goal. But at the same time, you should think of your email marketing strategy as an experience, the same way you would think of your website itself. Like you would design your website as an experience to make sure that people feel welcome, have something to do, and have things to read and things to do before just purchasing one of your product. Well, email, it's the same way, and it can be even more powerful because you can really build up an audience that is going to wait for you and wait for your next email, and just be it's an amazing way to create a community, because you can be much more fun and include much more gamification in
Mm.
this medium as well. Like in the next slide, I have a few examples of one brand called Cereal. They're selling cereal, but proteins, but with proteins, so protein ones. And they're exceptionally good for me at two things. The first one is their newsletter is fun. So it's one of the rare, I'd say, e-commerce newsletter when you're like, I'm gonna open this email because I want to know what's the catch, what's the
Mm.
joke. I know that when I'm gonna open one of their email, there's going to be something, and I'm gonna laugh. And it's one of the very few newsletters that actually nails this, and they're actually great at this. And at the same time, what they're doing a lot, and that's the email that is just right at the center, is so you have several brands doing this. They're doing this, and they're doing it quite well. They're incorporating just sometimes games within their email, making sure that, okay, you open up their email, you know it's going to be about cereal. And here, for instance, they've added a crossword in their email. And at the end of the day, when you figure out what the crossword is, then you get a discount that you can use on their website as well. But there are tens of games that you can include actually in an email, and it's a very good way, it's a very nice way to really connect with an audience, build trust with them, and make sure that when you have something to say, they're going to read you. When you have something to sell, they're going to be here as well and being able to buy something at the same time. So it's a really, really strong brand. I just quick advice: go on their website, subscribe on their newsletter, and you're going to have your dose of fun for a few weeks as well.
Cool. I
I
love
guess
it.
there's a next slide as well, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, all right, cool. Being fun also allows you. Yeah. So, did you want to say something?
No, no, I just love it. I think it's so good. And I've also, yeah, I've seen this ad as well. It's really clever.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Actually, being fun
Mm.
actually allows you to do smart stuff as well. Here, they're tackling competitors that we all know. They are not doing this being aggressive. because they wouldn't have, they would don't even have the right to actually quote the brand or do something like this. So they're just being clever, smart, and just fun about this in real life advertising on billboards on the left side, but also in their emails as well. And it works wonderful because you know that when you know the brand or you're just a bit interested, you want to stand on their side,
Mm-hmm.
and they're actually quite good at this, and they manage to do this because they allow themselves to be fun. By being fun, they can do this the smart way, but they're also able to build a community, something that they won't be able to do if they were just, if they just went through the boring route, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I think even though they're fun and they're having fun with their marketing and it's quite playful, they're still also making a stand against like important stuff, against like sugary cereal, and they're like, yeah, this has protein in it instead. Like, I think a lot of people maybe I don't know, I'm assuming now, but think that like fun marketing, it's kind of harder to sell through that or harder to be serious, but I don't know, they have a very good balance.
Yeah, and also for me, it's also because they're taking a fight that they know they're winning. Like if
Mm,
you're into protein, but you still want your cereal, you'll have to go there. Like it doesn't make sense for you to take the others. You will need to. So they're taking a fight that they know they'll win, and
mhm,
being fun, using humor actually just makes them, much more, just able to scale that messaging as well.
mhm. Okay. Is this the Yeah, it's me
I guess so.
next.
It's you.
Okay, nice. I love those slides. Love the brand. It's so good. And yeah, I'm a person who I like my inbox, and there are some brands that I stay subscribed to because I do want to read their emails. So I think emails can be very, very powerful when you do master them.
Yeah.
Okay, next and final brand from me that I wanted to touch on was Free Soul, that sell a mix of micronutrients, superfoods, and adaptogens, mainly aimed at females to support female wellness. Um, so there's a few things that they've been doing this year. They have skyrocketed this 2024 with their community. So they are very community led. They host lots of in-person community events, and again, they're making a lot of content from that. So a really big theme throughout all of my slides has really been community, really been showing up like in person for your community. And then obviously doing very authentic collaborations as well. So those are three things. I'll just talk about that. Three things that they mainly do. They have an ambassador program where they have specifically, health and wellness girlies, like they're definitely onto the healthy girl trend. And they have a lot of ambassadors doing that. They host physical events, so they host run clubs, they host coffee mornings, and yeah, just again, very community focused. They have joint giveaways as well with people within their community, and I think it's great to take inspiration from brands like this that are really, yeah, like prioritizing the people who are actually buying their product, and not always trying to reach new people, but really creating content for the people who they know are already buying from them. And then another thing that I really wanted to touch on for anyone who's watching who has a brand who's maybe like debating going on TikTok as well, because I know that is quite a debate right now, with some of the brands that we work with as well. It's always like, should we go onto TikTok Shop or should we stick with Instagram and stick with affiliates? It's really interesting what Free Soul are doing with TikTok Shop to boost sales and especially to push their new apple cider gummies, which are very cheap. Like they're $9.99, pretty cheap product for the supplement space. And they had a ridiculous offer, which was like 2 bottles for £8 or something like that.
All right.
And they collaborated with some TikTok affiliates, and it's been absolutely like very, very successful because they've just been testing so many different content verticals and so many different hooks. But if you compare what their Instagram feed might look like it's very polished, very clean, very aesthetic, very like clean girl aesthetic, compared to what their TikTok looks like, it's it's insane. They look like a different brand on TikTok. So I also think this is really fascinating that TikTok is very like unpolished. Um, and yeah, very real, I guess, but it also it really works for them. So they kind of have two, yeah, they're targeting maybe two different audiences. One on Instagram is this clean girl. On TikTok, it's like a low ticket product for like women who get bloated, basically. Like that is the audience on there. So that's really interesting.
I love this example. All right.
Mm.
Yeah, it's great. But it was what we were saying before, like you need to go niche. And
Mm.
what Dave nailed down as well, and this is great, he's there going on different niches based on their acquisition channel. Like there's
Yeah.
something that works great on Instagram, there's something that works great on TikTok, and
Mhm.
they're going all in.
Yeah, so also like on Instagram, they will be pushing their like mushroom powder. They have like an adaptogenic mushroom powder, which is not a low ticket product. I'm pretty sure that's like mid range, maybe like £20 or something like that. They're kind of pushing that. It's very aesthetically pleasing and it's like, healthy, all of this. But then if you go to TikTok, they're pushing apple cider gummies, which like relieves you from bloating. And it's like just a quick fix. It's a very cheap product and they are pushing that like crazy. So it's like two different audiences and both are performing like pretty well. But it's really interesting to see that it's like a different brand. So I thought I would yeah, just include that because
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's the same. Even when you're, I'm gonna say it this way. Like I've seen a lot of brands struggling on Instagram advertising because they're like,
Mhm.
okay, I have my branding on Instagram and I want to use the same content that I'm publishing on my organic channel as in my ads. And for any agency out there, they had the issue of telling a client that's not how it works. Like your ads will be different than
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
organic posts, and that's specifically true for I don't know how can I say it, TikTok and Instagram
Mhm.
as well, because the grammar, even I'm going to say this way, I love this concept, but the social network grammar is not the same. You do not consume the same kind of content on Instagram versus TikTok. It's not the same kind of audience. It's not the same. People are not in the same mindset when they're scrolling on Instagram versus scrolling on TikTok. They're not stopping to watch a video for the same reason. So it makes sense to actually have, I mean, almost two different brands on these two different channels.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder how I wonder what your like point of view is if it's like if a brand maybe doesn't want to ruin their reputation as well because you kind of have two different reputations, TikTok versus Instagram, or maybe it's different ads. Maybe one ad is pushing a very cheap product and or maybe the messaging is just, like relieve bloating or something, but the messaging in another ad is like get healthy and get strong. Like how do they kind of balance that without feeling like they're going to ruin any reputation?
I have, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
I have a pretty strong point of view on this.
Yeah.
If you're not able to do this, don't do it. For me, at the end of the day, it's the, how can I say this? Like the scores, the figures are going to tell you what works and what doesn't, and you should follow what they're telling you. At the
Hmm.
same time, I know that there's some branding reputation you need to keep, and you need to keep this in mind. I'm not the best guy to actually advise you on this. For me, when it works, you should go all in, and that's pretty much the end of it.
Yeah.
You should, though, even considering your branding and your branding strategy, you should consider that your branding should live on in a specific place. It does not live, in a super neutral space. It lives on email, it lives on TikTok, it lives
Mm.
on Instagram, it lives on Facebook, and it would make sense that it doesn't live the same way or doesn't even look the same way on TikTok than on Instagram. So you should be able to let go.
Hmm.
And for me, that's the main thing, especially if you're looking at TikTok and you're wondering if you want to go there. Well, you need to let go, otherwise it's not even worth spending time or money going on TikTok if you want to keep your branding pure, because it's not going to work this way.
I know. It's crazy. It's mad how the algorithm works there when you actually start to play around on TikTok and actually look at what these brands are sharing. It's like, wow, but you can still keep your reputation on Instagram, but TikTok, yeah, let it go. um, okay. Incredible, amazing. Yeah.
I've seen just before you can go on this, we
Oh
can
yeah.
stay on your slide because I've seen a question from Rohal.
Ah
Hey,
yes.
Rohal, there's a question. I'm going to read the question. Would you say the TikTok shop is ideal only for low ticket products? I'm considering capitalizing on the TikTok shop for a product which is launching soon and is a high ticket item. What are your thoughts slash suggestions?
Mm-hmm.
What do
Okay,
you
should I
think?
go?
Yeah, girl.
Yeah. So I think if you want my experience has been if you want to sell a high ticket item on TikTok shop, then I would put aside budget to actually pay the creators a flat fee to push the product as well. So TikTok shop works like very cleverly where you can just offer your creators commission and they only work on a commission basis. And it's like when they order a product through TikTok shop, they have to share content within 2 weeks or something, and then they get like kicked out or something happens like that. So it's very easy to work on a commission basis. But in general, TikTok is very much like I would rather push low ticket products on TikTok. And if you are just starting on TikTok shop and you want to push a high ticket product, yeah, it's great for the affiliates because they can get probably a good percentage commission and good money for it. But it's like if you haven't sold anything before on TikTok shop, the creators are going to see that and they're not going to want to just work on a commission basis, but they're probably going to want a flat fee as well. That's what my experience is, especially when you're just starting and if it's a high ticket. And I also, yeah, with high ticket, I guess it depends what the item is, but
Yeah, I don't know what you mean, Rohal, by high ticket as well. Is it
yeah, like is it a very expensive
how much?
supplement, for example? Because if it is, then there is, I would say there's a lot of like cheap supplements on TikTok right now. So maybe it's more like working on the branding and the messaging to communicate why it's high ticket. But I think in my view, I think it's more challenging to sell high ticket on TikTok, and I would suggest Instagram and affiliates and more like bigger, maybe like working with bigger influencers and focusing on collaborations in that way. But what would you suggest, Mehdi?
I would say you. So I'm gonna start with this. I guess Frida,
Mhm.
you're much better than me at managing TikTok shops and this whole ecosystem. Okay, capsule-based nootropics, clean and clinically tested.
Nice.
All right, well, all right. So a sole question that we might have is, on average, what's the cost? How much is it? I don't know, 50 pound, 100 pound, 200 pounds,
Mm.
1,000 pounds. Uh, we never know. You never know. Might
Could
be.
be. You never know.
What I would do though is, and it works the same way. At some point, it can work the same way on Facebook and Instagram as well, even on high ticket product. I mean, it's hard to sell something that's worth $5,000 or euros or pounds on Instagram. Usually, the people who are doing this, what they're doing as well, not only in this space but in other industries, they're trying. Sorry, he's laughing at the figures. I'm just trying.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is to come up with a middle value, low value offer to something negligible. But like if you're selling something that costs $1,000 and you know that it's going to be hard to sell these on Facebook or TikTok, then come up with something that costs just 10 or $15, $20, something that is a low ticket that doesn't count much, that's not here for you. You don't even have margins on this, but you can reimburse your campaign selling this. And the thinking is, by getting those clients are going to be the ones that are going to be able to buy something much more expensive after.
Mm.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
try to sell those at not a high cost, but it will like filter out and make sure that I have a database of leads that already bought something from me. And those
Mm.
people, I'm going to upgrade them into buying something much more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me do this.
Yeah, I like that suggestion. I think, yeah, getting people in with something low ticket and then pushing the high ticket, yeah, can definitely work as well.
All
It's
right.
just
Well,
interesting. Like TikTok is just a very interesting platform. Honestly, like it shocks me every day the content that I see there and the creators that I see there. I'm like, wow. So from what I've seen for in the health and wellness space is like cheaper products. But I'm talking like not like £8. It can be like £20, £25. I don't know what cheap is to you. I don't know what high ticket, low ticket means in this sense. But yeah, it's like 20, £25, things like that. And then yeah.
yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks for the question, Rohal.
Yeah,
Please
super
help
interesting.
connect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, Mehdi, let's go on to
Oh,
your
it's my
last.
turn. Oh, yeah, I forgot this one. Yeah, compare problems and solutions. Again, how can I say this? Overall, since this one can be a few years old, but we always said, all right, at some point within your marketing strategy, you should include some comparisons. Make sure that you can compare yourself against the competitors, because that's a way of creating engaging ads or engaging emails as well. There's something super interesting that I've seen trending quite this year, whether it's actually both in email marketing and in advertising. It's the
Mhm,
different kind of comparisons that you could do. And to do this, you should just consider: are you making this comparison because you want to target people who are A, unaware that they have a problem, B, aware that they have a problem but they don't know that there's a solution, or C, they're aware of the problem, they're aware of the solution, they're just wondering which one of the solutions they want to pick.
mhm,
And it creates different kind of comparisons. It's an easy way for you actually to create content that can convert depending on the audience you want to target. But for instance, if you want to target people who are not aware that they have an issue, and you have a nootropic, for instance, or an energy drink or an energy vitamin supplement, you need to let them know that coffee can be bad for them, but you need to educate them. So you would compare yourself against coffee and say, how am I better than coffee? So you
mhm,
can let them know that they do have a problem, but letting them know, hey, coffee can be an issue. If you
mhm,
want to target people who are aware of the solution but not the problem, pretty much the same thing. You would compare against coffee, but you won't highlight that much the issues that can be raised with coffee, but pretty much the benefits that you can add to their life. And then the last one, the bottom, the end of the funnel one, is really the people who are aware of the issue, of the problem, and of the solution. And for instance, if that's not the same thing, they don't know if they need a nootropic or a vitamin or an energy drink pill, something else, then you can compare against direct competitors in that case. But it's
mhm,
super interesting to see all those kinds of comparisons. And you have a few brands, some of them are highlighted just right after, who every week, every 2 weeks, they're doing a comparison in their email and in their ads, but sometimes they're comparing against, so those, for instance, the first one, they're doing a myth versus fact. So they're comparing for people who are not even aware that they do have a product. The first myth is coffee is bad for you, and they're explaining why. The second one is only drinking impacts your liver. It's false. They're explaining why. So they're explaining you why do
mhm,
you might have a problem, and then they're explaining you how they can fix it. But this is really for people who are not even aware that they might have an issue. Thesis, on the contrary, this is the end of the funnel one. They're talking to people who know that coffee is already bad for them. They're looking for alternative solutions. They're speaking to people who know about that mid-afternoon crash when you had a lot of coffee and a lot of sugar in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the only thing that you want to take is a nap. They're speaking specifically to those people, so they're comparing stimulants against nootropic, explaining how nootropics are better than stimulants. But that's really for people bottom of the funnel who know that they have a problem. They know that there are several solutions. They're comparing against the solution. While the next slide is the middle of the funnel each time. This is one of my favorite ones. It's for
mhm,
people who know that there's an issue, but they know they have a problem. They don't know that there's a solution. So, for instance, hers, they're comparing themselves with psychiatry. So people know that psychiatry is here. They know that they might need to talk to a therapist, to someone. So they know that they have a problem, something to solve. They just don't know that there's another solution. So they're comparing for this. Same thing for R plus. Retro against Botox. We all know about Botox. If you are thinking about Botox, you know that you have something to solve. You just might not know there's another solution. So they're creating this comparison for those people as well. And for me, the most interesting thing here was, okay, brand owners, brand marketers, they're like, okay, I know I need to compare myself. The easiest way to do this is to say, okay, I'm going to compare myself against my direct competitors, and I'm going to say that I'm better than them. Well, actually, you have at least 3 different ways of comparing yourself in any given market.
I love
What do you
that. It's
think?
so interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. Such powerful content. And I'm wondering, for do brands like this, do they ever focus on, do they only focus on like one? You said there was like the start of the journey, or like mid, and the people who
Yeah,
are
no,
on
no.
the solution.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm just taking those examples, but all these brands, they have a lot of comparisons in their content calendar, whether it's in ads and or in their email marketing. They all have a lot of comparisons, and they're using every step of the
Ah,
funnel
so not
every
just, they're
time.
not only solution aware, but they're also doing the problem aware in some other content as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay,
Totally.
interesting. Cool. I love that one.
Right.
Yeah, really nice. And again, are these emails as well?
Exactly. They're all emails, 4 of them.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Such nice emails. Okay, I think that is, we have one more question from Rahal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think we will answer that, and then we'll kind of finish the presentation. Obviously, if anybody has any questions, just put them in the comments as well, because now we're done with the presentation and we're just kind of gonna end it.
Yeah, and at the same time, if you have other questions, just go ahead. Even if the question comes tomorrow, send us a DM, send us a message, send us an email, a text, whatever, and we might do episode 2. Why not?
Yeah, yeah, this was really fun. Okay, but we have a question. I like this question. I want to hear what you have to say, Mehdi. How do you make science cool? So I
It's
guess like
for
in content.
it's for me.
Yeah, you.
I can try first.
Hmm.
For me, the main stuff is to make it relatable. In order, so I'm going to speak specifically within the health and wellness space. Science is cool if, and not only if, but science is cool if right away you can understand how it can benefit you in life, and how you can see and relate to, for instance, the figures that we're giving you. That's why also, and that was actually something that was here across the whole presentation. That's why being specific sells. It's because people can actually just relate and make sure that they're really triggered by what you're saying as well. So science is great, but when you're, I don't know, if you have a science study that you're using and you're trying to use this as a marketing collateral in your strategy for one of your products, try to find for instance, in the study, the figures or the fact where people can just have this aha moment of, oh, that's me. Okay, that's actually something that could make my life better. And that, for me, is one of the main criteria that would make science cool.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree with everything you said. I think a similar thing that I would have said is kind of putting a story behind it as well. So that's like making it relatable, giving it a
Sure.
story. So it's not just a fact and a statistic, but maybe you can somehow link it to a story, whether it's like a personal story or a story of somebody or like a testimonial that you have. That's how you can kind of make it cool. But then on the surface as well, though, when I'm looking at all of these brands that we talked about, I think the branding also plays a role in how cool it is. Like if we look at AG1, like they are cool. These brands that I'm seeing on the screen now, I think it. Do you think that also plays a role in terms of how they are branding themselves, Mehdi?
I think so.
Or maybe
Uh,
not as like a huge role, maybe?
I'm going to say this. It depends on the size of the brand. Like for me, you have
Mm,
some brands that were born on a very specific science fact, and later they made that cool, or they expanded, and at some point, it's not just about science anymore. And for
mhm.
some, it's not the case at all. Like for instance, the first one that you've shared, the TED,
Yeah,
right? See, it's
perfect.
not really about science. It's much more about your community. It's being fun. It's just sharing stories right away, and you would feel better. I do remember of I do remember there's a brand called Hive, selling probiotics.
Mhm.
And just now they're selling much more stuff. But at the really beginning, they were only selling probiotics. Or was it Seed? It was one of these two.
Yeah,
They're
maybe Seed. I know Seed.
yeah.
They're very quite scientific, I think.
Yeah, and for me, the really there was one figure that actually made them exist at the very beginning, and it was to say, okay, all the and I don't remember if it was Seed or IT, one was of the two. They were saying like all the other probiotic supplements that you take, the minute that they land, the time that they take to land in your gut, they don't work anymore. We're the only one that actually keep the probiotics alive
Mm,
while they arrive. So we have all the benefits. All the others, it's been
mm,
proven. Here's the figure. Here's the science. It doesn't work. And you're like,
mhm.
wow, I need
Yeah, and
this.
that's yeah, and it's kind of relatable as well because if you're taking probiotics or prebiotics and then you're not feeling the effect, or many people are taking them, but then when you read that study, you're kind of sold then to switch whatever you're taking to that one because yeah, they have the study, they have the science to back it.
Yeah,
Um, so I think there's lots of creative ways that you can really make science cool, and especially now with I don't know, I think the health and wellness industry is growing. People are getting way more passionate about what they're putting into their bodies. People are wanting the science. A place that I love to go to for science and studies is it's a newsletter. It's Arnold's newsletter. I don't know if you're subscribed to it, Mehdi, but it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? His
okay.
his his newsletter. It's like the Pump Club or something. He shares so many studies, so many scientific studies
All
in his
right, you know.
newsletter, and it's very cool. I think he has a very cool way of approaching science if you need some inspiration. But
All right.
yeah, there's lots of cool ways.
Here's a cool answer to the question: how do you make science cool? With Arnold, and that's great.
Yeah. I think he's really making like science and health very cool.
Right.
Um, I like it. But then again, that's kind of using if you can use an influencer or someone who is kind of cool to also communicate
That's true.
science, I think that can also play a big role because if you see someone who you kind of look up to talking about something, you're going to be interested in what they're talking about as well. So utilizing those collaborations and those influencers, of course.
Yep.
A strategy I love. Um, okay, so what now? Well, now have finished the
Yeah.
presentation. Um, this was pretty long actually. So I have a free guide on customer generated content, which is kind of how to turn your current customers into your ambassadors. So I have a free guide for that, and you can also be on the newsletter. But I will link that in the comments. And you can also DM me if you can't find that link. And then we also have an influencer kit. And if you want to know more about that, you can just send me a DM. But it's basically a kit that we've created to give you everything you need to start with influencer marketing. And I'm really, really excited about that. But I don't want to spend like too much time talking about that.
I'll definitely DM you just right after.
But yeah, you can DM me about anything if you have any questions. Thank you, Roal, for joining and asking questions. But if
Hey, thank
anyone
you.
else has any questions about anything we've asked, you can DM Mehdi or myself, and we'd be happy to help. And here, obviously, you can find me on LinkedIn, Frida Waywell, which is where you are now. I have a podcast called Way to Wellness and my newsletter, which I will be linking here in the comments. So that's where you can find me. That's where you can stay up to date. And yeah, what we do at Locus, which I kind of touched in the beginning. Medi.
Oh, and that's me. All right. That was the same platform I spoke about in the very first minute of the live as well. The platform is called Panoramata.co. You have the name at the bottom left of your screen right now, Panoramata.co. Basically, we do help you track everything that your competitors are doing marketing-wise automatically, their emails, their flows, their ads, their SMSs, their landing pages, everything, instead of having you going one by one, checking what they've been doing the last week, the last 2 weeks, the last month, the last quarter. We gather all the data for you automatically. We gather insights. We tell you what you need to do as well to go ahead and beat them. And what we're doing usually, don't send me a DM or just book a call on the website directly, just right after. I'm happy to actually, you'll see that there's a form you can fill. Just share with me a few of your target brands, target competitors, the main competitors that you have in mind. And I'm actually happy. I'm going to gather and create a little presentation for you and send it back to you about what their best practices are.
Oh, I love that. It's such a cool offer because you're so good. You're so good at breaking down, like what brands are doing. You really are. So yeah, if anyone is watching, I would definitely take advantage of that for sure. Okay, very cool. I'm not sure what the last slides are. It's all a
No,
mystery.
it's okay. It was mine as well. So
Oh,
I appreciate it.
amazing. Okay, well, thank you. Oh yeah. Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching and tuning in. It was really, really fun to talk with you, Medi, to have this presentation. I enjoyed it a lot.
The same, it was great. Great format as well. Thanks everyone who voted first on the topic. Everyone who tuned in as well. Thanks both. Thanks Roel. Thanks to everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, see you on LinkedIn, everyone. Bye, Medi.
Bye bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.